It is a gloriously wonderful, cloudy, gray, cold, rainy day here in Western Pennsylvania. And the question I asked myself, can we find and take great pictures when the conditions aren't perfect? Can we see the little things out there on a cloudy day? Well, it's one of those days, so grab your camera, let's go find a good picture on a cloudy day. Expose for the shadows. So I'm kind of overexposing just a little bit, so hopefully that the sky won't blow out too much, but I can get kind of the detail closer to the ground. That's one of the challenges on shooting with a day like today. You tend to have a sky that's really bright and grounds that are really dark, and you want to make sure you find the correct exposure. One of the problems of shooting on a dreary day is your camera's going to get wet with a little bit of moisture, but that's okay. It's all an adventure. Now that I've got just enough cold in my fingers, what I want to do next is put the emotion into the photos. Can we make the photos feel like a cloudy, gray, miserable day? So let's head back and put these things into Lightroom. All right, so we found the pictures that we really liked, and now we're gonna bring those into Lightroom, and let's see if we can take a gray picture and make it better. So go ahead, look right here. We've got a picture of your basic rule of thirds. You've got the houses in the lower third, the clouds, and then the sky. Very first thing we want to do is we want to go to the light section. We all know what we got to do with this photo. We're just going to raise up the exposure, maybe to about, not too high, right in there. Now let's go to the highlights, right? We want to take the highlights and push them down some. So we begin to bring out the gray of the clouds. This is what I really like. Shadows. Well, let's bring up the shadows because it is slightly underexposed. We want to begin to see the houses and the trees. We'll bring up our shadows. Oh, I don't know. This looks like a good 50 to me. Right about in there. Crush those blacks just a little bit because it's so cold out there, right? So cold and awesome. What I want to do next is I want to go hit a linear gradient so I can bring out all the ways of that sky. So we click on linear gradient. And the first thing I want to do here with my linear gradient is maybe just begin to underexpose it, darken the skies so we can begin to see the variations of gray. And what's fun, you can go too dark. Nope, it wasn't that gray, but right about, yep, right in there. Pretty good. I know the last thing we want to do is really hit the effects. This is where you want the texture and the clarity, right? Everybody pumps this up. So let's go to texture and just drag that now. Oh, look at what happens. Right about there. Clarity, we're not gonna go so much higher on the clarity, but I like it. And then just to bring it all in to make it feel claustrophobic, right? Let's do a little vignette. Who doesn't like a nice black vignette on your photo? Bring it in. Oh man, oh man. Now there's a photo that literally says, cold, gray, miserable day in Western Pennsylvania. Go back and look at the original. Oh yeah, let's look at the second one. Very nice, good. All right, let's bring up another photo. Now our next photo is one that positively disgusted me. We've got this marvelous trash can that's clearly overflowing. There's junk on the ground. There's a sign that says, notice to all visitors. This is a mean photo, an angry one might say. But what I really liked about it was excellently dead tree with no leaves on it, a little bit of the shadow and reflection. You also have the double trash can, like the trash can's really overflowing twice. This is a great photo. Very first thing is I want to bring the contrast up a little bit. This way it brings out that gray sky. So we bring up the contrast. It's fun. I mean, you can bring it all the way up, I think right around there. Now the highlights. Highlights I want to bring down. Once again, to get that gray sky going. So let's bring the highlights. If we bring them down just enough, you can begin to see the two different grays on the hills right in here. So let's bring the shadows up. Helps us see the bark on the tree a little bit. bring the whites down because I want to get the different grays and the whites. It is a cold gray day. Can't say that enough. And you can see, yeah, this is a gray, cold, miserable day. We want to look that way. Bring it a little more to the blue side. Grab our slider for temperatures, and we're trying to suck the fun out of this. There we go. There we go. I like that. Oh, that's nice. And in the effects, I want to bring out the texture. We want that trash can to look gritty and grimy and overflowing. So on the texture we go. Bring it up. Same thing on the clarity. What's fun is if you go to the left, it kind of softens that trash can. I want that trash can to look grimy. Right? We don't need to go full bore, but it's bringing out the details in the trash can, and that I think is just wonderfully miserable, which is what we're going for. The last thing, I like a good vignette because it's going to squeeze you into the photo. Plus, notice what it does when we bring the vignette to black. Down in the lower left hand, it almost makes the shadow and the reflection pop a little bit. There we go. I like that. Watch that corner. And drags my eye right down here to the trunk of the tree, which makes me go up. It just has a winter, cold, harsh feeling to it. I look at this and I'm like, whoa, I can feel my fingertips get cold. There's the original picture. It looks like we have sucked the life out of it. We got one more photo. Let's see if we can make that photo look just as miserable and cold and damp as the other two. The last photo of the day, I went and I took on the banks of the Allegheny River. I was looking for some nice perspective, so you'll see that we put the rocks in the front, and then there's a little green to them, and in the background we've got a bridge, and on the other side we've got some wonderful trees. First thing we want to do, I like the exposure, so I want to go to the highlights first off, and we're just going to bring those down a little bit. Shadows, want the shadows to come up some so we can see more on the hillside in the background. Want to make it all whites. Once again, we're going to drop the whites just a tad. I don't really want a whole lot of white. Give me some more gray. And then for the blacks, I keep thinking, yeah, let's bring the blacks down some. Maybe there'd be bugs living in there, maybe some kind of snakes or who knows. So if we crush the blacks, you'll notice that those holes in the rocks get a little darker. Yeah, there's something living in that hole. I don't want to know what it is, but there's definitely something living in that hole. Let's go and mess with the color temperature just a little bit. We're still going for feelings here. Cold, gray, miserable. Just a wee bit. Once again, if we go too cold, that's blue. I don't know if I like that so much. I think I like it right in there. Then we're going to take our vibrance, and we just want to bring our vibrance up so everything begins to pop. You can see the rocks, you can see the bridge. Nice. Same thing with the saturation. We want to bring out the greens, we want to bring out the blue on the bridge. So let's bring that up as well. I want to add a radial gradient right up in here by this tree line to give us something to look at. So we're going to click over there, radial gradient, and let's just get it going. Something like this. What I want to do is bring up the contrast so we really begin to see the trees and everything on this side. We're going to bring up the contrast a little bit, drop our shadows so it looks kind of dark on that side, maybe a little wet on that hillside. Same thing, let's drop the whites in here to bring it out. And then of course, if we drop the blacks as well, now we see some branches coming out. And the thing we want to do now is crank up the misery of this cold photo. And we do that with a little bit of texture. Let's watch those rocks come to life. And we do it with a little bit of clarity as well. And then it wouldn't be a gray, miserable, cloudy day. Vignette that. And let's bring it down. Oh, nice. Once again, I love what happens in the corners and up in the trees. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. So now we got a picture that really expresses the emotion of the day. Cold, wet, damp, miserable. There's the original, and there's the finished. So now we were able to go out there and take 3 photos for misery. Take a look at them. I loved it when I shared these photos with the people in my house, and they were like, oh, that looks really cool. Like, that looks like a day in Western Pennsylvania. If you like taking photos with me and hanging out, remember to like, comment, subscribe in the description below. My name is Oliver Weah, and welcome to Weah Studios. This one was photography style on a miserable day in Pennsylvania, because it's just so much fun. Yep, that'll work. Ring the bell. I never know what to say. And cut.